Hey everyone, thanks for plugging in today with the Tech Council. Really excited to have Joshua and Ness here today from Verizon. We'll be talking a lot about 5G and some great things they're working on over at their 5G labs. Josh, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself today and what kind of work you're doing over there at 5G labs?
Yeah, really good to be here. Thanks for everything, for setting this up, Dan. We are super excited. I'm super excited to be here talking to you and your members and all the folks out there who are listening and watching this. My role is with 5G Labs with Verizon here in New York City, and we have a very unique function within the company, and that is to predict the future. When I say that, I mean literally, because 5G is going to change everything. 5G is here. It's continuing to come. We're continuing to activate 5G in markets all across the country. 5G devices are available, and we know that 5G is going to bring with it a lot of technological advancements and new use cases of technology, much in the same way that 4G did here at the beginning of the decade. And for some of those, we know what those advancements are. We can already start thinking about how to apply 5G along with other emerging technologies. But in a lot of cases, we don't necessarily know what this new technology is going to bring over the course of the next 5 or 10 years. And so my team's job is to both think internally and develop some internal proofs of concept, but also to activate the community externally, the ecosystem of thinkers and innovators who are thinking critically about the application of new technology and see what 5G can do for them.
Josh, thanks so much for sharing too. And for those who don't know me, my name is Dan Sullivan. I really lead member experience and partnerships here at the council. And when Josh reached out about this effort, we were so thrilled. You bring up some good points there, Josh. You know, 5G is that next beast that we're all starting to think about, whether that be on the civic level or just how we can operate more effectively as businesses here across the state. I know our members are thinking about it. You know, for those out there that kind of think they know what it is, and there's some mystery there, what can you say about what is exactly 5G?
Oh, what is 5G? That's a really popular question, Dan. A lot of people think it's just another G. They think it's just faster internet. Some popular things that we get are that it's already a setting on their router and it's not that much faster than their regular Wi-Fi. A lot of people think they already have 5G on their phone. Usually that's not the case. And so 5G is the next generation of wireless connectivity. It brings with it much higher bandwidth, much lower latency, as well as a host of other capabilities that you don't see with traditional 4G LTE connectivity. There's about 8 different capabilities or currencies, as we call them, where 5G is materially different from existing connectivity options. We already mentioned throughput and latency. Throughput being like your download speed is a really easy way to think about that. The latency is how long it takes the network to respond. And right now, latency numbers are not bad for most of the applications that we have right now. But if we want to start getting into things like remote drone control or autonomous driving, working with connected cities and things like that, then we really need to get those latency numbers down as close to 0 as we can. And so 5G brings with it both of those capabilities, as well as several others like a larger number of connections per square kilometer. We can achieve up to about 1 million connections per square kilometer, which sounds a little bit overkill when you start wondering, like, are you really talking about 1 million people within a square kilometer? It's not necessarily that. When we start thinking about the introduction of massive and industrial IoT, when you start thinking about how many IoT devices are going to be connected and how many of those IoT devices are going to use video in place of your typical sensor-based IoT devices right now, then that number really starts to make a lot more sense. And so we're going to need not only the capacity to support that number of devices, but also the throughput to be able to handle all the data traffic they're going to be sending. And there's several others, including some time to deployment, how that time decreases, so we're able to maximize the efficiency of the network, some power saving that comes with a 5G network, and several others. If anyone's interested, happy to share some of that information at a later time. But yeah, so 5G is a whole new layer, a whole new platform where other types of technologies can be activated. So like VR is something that we already have. We're already starting to see VR labs pop up and VR bars and VR facilities pop up where you can experience things in VR, but it's not something that's democratized for most of society yet. Still, the hardware is pretty expensive, and in order to run the software applications, we're not able to stream that, and you're not able to have any sort of collaborative VR where you have two people who are in separate locations being in the same VR space and be able to do that efficiently. 5G allows for that, as well as several other applications. And so we see that 5G is starting to already have an impact on these types of technologies, and we're starting to apply that across industries now to see where we can create value in things like manufacturing and industry and logistics and healthcare and retail. And then on the consumer side, places like stadiums, things like esports, and then other types of entertainment and storytelling experiences using immersive media.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. We're certainly extremely excited about it here at the Tech Council. Our Emerging Technologies Network, which is really thriving, are really just waiting for these next kind of phases to come about, and we're certainly here to help lead the charge with yourselves. But this brings up a lot of questions. With that in mind, for all those tuning in today, we want to encourage you to comment below with any question you might have for Josh about what we are planning to talk about next, and about 5G overall. If you have any questions at all, we're happy to help answer those and connect the dots. But moving forward, we really want to talk here today quite a bit about what Verizon's doing and bringing to the table for 5G and their 5G challenge, which has gone live this year. The Tech Council is extremely happy to support that effort. And we really want to make sure that those members we represent in this sector have a voice, get involved in it, and can help participate in really this next generation of thinking. So let's pivot here and talk a bit about what's the 5G challenge, what's Verizon bringing to the table, and what are you looking to actually succeed with this activity?
Yeah, no, that's great. The Verizon's Built on 5G Challenge is a nationwide search to find the best products and services that are going to bring the true power of 5G to life. What that means is Verizon has rolled out this 5G network, and we're deploying it, like I said, across the country. We're bringing new devices online that are going to be able to take advantage of it, and we are hoping to partner with startups and small businesses that are thinking critically about the application of emerging technology to start seeing what are the new applications and use cases that will start taking advantage of 5G. And we are able to start prototyping some internally. We were able to identify a lot of use cases that where 5G is going to have an impact, but ultimately it's going to be the market. Ultimately, it's going to be the developers and the innovators who are going to define where we go in the next 5 to 10 years, just the same way they did when 4G was released. 4G came online in 2010. About a year after that, we really saw an explosion of technologies, things like Uber, things like Airbnb. Amazon really came into its own. Facebook really came into its own on mobile in ways that it had never done before. And so much in the same way that 2011 and 2012 saw this technology revolution and has continued to perpetuate into what we have now with consumer grade AR in applications like Instagram and Snapchat and Pokemon Go and things like that. We're really about to be to go over this new precipice of empowerment in technology. And so much in that same way, we're about to see this explosion of new technologies in their application, and we want to help the startups and the small businesses that are thinking about that now, help them get to that next level, because we have the technology available in our 5G labs. And those are located in 5 cities around the country, in New York City, in Washington, D.C., in Cambridge, Massachusetts, as well as on the West Coast in Los Angeles and in Palo Alto, California. And so these are areas where we have live 5G already set up specifically for startups and small businesses so they can come in and test their ideas. We're trying to work with people across industries and across technologies who have good ideas about how 5G can empower their technologies to create new types of value. We do that through a variety of ways. One of the most significant being our challenge programs. We've already run challenges in education technology, in immersive media storytelling, in first responder technology, as well as in robotics. And so right now, we are in the final stages of accepting applications for our Built on 5G challenge. And that is industry agnostic, it's technology agnostic. We're essentially looking for the biggest and the best ideas that are going to use 5G that are going to make the world a better place. So we're seeking companies that are registered in the United States, that have 200 or fewer employees, because we really want to support these small and growing businesses in bringing about this next generation of technology.
Great. And you know, we're so excited for this time to come with 5G, and with time in mind, I know that this deadline is coming up. So I want to pivot here just a bit, talk briefly about some of the real fine details about this, how people can really get involved in it. And if that's okay, I want to bring up with everyone real quickly here some more of the fine print on the 5G challenge that Josh was kind enough to share with us. And Josh, maybe you could talk us through some of these bullet points so that everyone that is really on the fence or really excited about getting involved with it and submitting can just be as clear as possible on what they need to do moving forward. So let me share that here.
Yeah.
And we'll scroll down here really pretty much down to, you talked a bit about eligibility here, but Josh, let's go through these two pretty much slides here and we kind of guide everybody through that approach.
Yeah. So the submission period, it does close on September 15th. We are nearing that. It's 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So if you're here on the East Coast, you do have an extra 3 hours there getting into September 16th.
Nice.
But I wouldn't dilly-dally if I were you. Like I said before, it is for U.S. registered companies. That can be an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, B Corp, or a nonprofit registration. Essentially, you just can't be a DBA, doing business as. You do have to have a tax ID number, and you do have to have 200 or fewer employees. So we are targeting startups and small businesses here to support this challenge. Now, the pricing, something I hadn't mentioned before. If you want to scroll back up just 1 second, this is $1 million giveaway. This is not just access to our 5G labs, but it is funding. It is $1 million for the top prize, and then $500,000 and $250,000 for the two below that. This is equity free. This is IP free. We are not taking anyone's IP. We want to help support you in becoming the next great 5G company, the same way that all of the apps on your phone and all of the applications now are great 4G companies. We haven't yet seen this explosion of 5G companies, mostly because this technology is only newly available. So this is funding to help these small businesses begin that pivot process to start creating 5G technologies. And in addition to that, we do offer access to our 5G labs, as well as an opportunity for Verizon to invest in your company in a future fundraising round. And so with those top companies, we are going to look for an opportunity to participate in your next fundraising round. But this $1 million prize comes with pretty much no strings attached. And so that's it as far as prizing goes. And what we're looking for are ideas that use 5G, both for industry, think B2B, think things like manufacturing and industry, retail and healthcare, like we talked about, but there's a whole host of others that are more of that business-to-business function. But we're also looking for consumer functions, things that people with phones can use, right? Or other types of devices that consumers are going to have access to. So some of the things that we've seen are immersive experiences using VR and AR, stuff that takes place in stadiums. When 5G is here, it's going to be able to connect everyone in a stadium, whereas right now that's pretty difficult to do with LTE technology. With 5G, everyone in a particular stadium will be able to be connected. And so what types of new experiences can we offer there? Is it AR? Is it other types of gameplay? Is it other types of interactivity? Looking for things like that. Esports is a big one. Right. How is 5G going to impact mobile gaming? We're looking into that a little bit right now on our own, but we're excited to see some other ideas. And then, of course, moonshots. What are the ideas that we can't even think of yet? A lot of times when we're knee deep in this new technology, anyone who's knee deep in new technology can have a hard time seeing the forest for the trees. And so sometimes there's stuff that we hadn't even considered before, and we're calling those moonshots. If you have an idea about how 5G can do something crazy and wild and really interesting, something that you're pretty sure has never even been thought of before, we definitely want to know about that, because we want to help you bring that to life.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there's also a function. Yeah, there's also a function about corporate social responsibility and commitment to sustainable business practices. We're not necessarily looking for the next big, great moneymaker, although we do look for things that can hopefully generate some revenue over time. But we are looking for these companies to be able to have a commitment to corporate social responsibility, sustainable business practices, and diversity and inclusion. So we are looking for products that come from good companies that are going to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and so everyone watching here and live with us today, here's we are right now. You know, the time is now to act. So if you're excited about this kind of opportunity, the time to certainly apply is upon us. By the end of this weekend, I believe my memory serves me right. Busy times, right, for all of us.
Yep.
And
yep.
And let's talk briefly about some of that judging, right? This is important, right, for everyone that's thinking about throwing their hat in the ring. What does that look like?
Yeah. No, the judging criteria is going to be extensive. It's going to span business model. It's going to span marketability. It's going to span the use of 5G as well as some of the supporting technologies like edge computing. How many 5G or how does it take advantage of those 5G currencies that I mentioned, as well as that corporate social responsibility angle. And so we're looking to see, essentially, is this something that customers can use in the short to medium term? And when I say customers, I do mean both those business-to-business customers as well as those consumers who are using standalone devices. And so we're going to be assessing all of those as soon as the applications close. And then the top 25 teams that we identify are going to be invited to come to New York City, where they will sit and interview with our executive teams in a panel interview style. And from there, we will start announcing some of those winners at Mobile World Congress Americas at the end of October. And then we're going to start building with these companies at the very beginning of November. We're not wasting any time. Ultimately, we want to see an early stage prototype ready to show at a venue like CES so that we can really start having some moments around this. One of the great things, in addition to the pricing elements that we talked about earlier, is press. We are going to be going to these events. We're going to be talking to press, and we're going to want these companies to come with us. The winners of this challenge are going to be placed on a national scale as some of the next great 5G companies, and we're really excited about the prospect of that.
Yeah, and obviously this is something we want everyone to be excited about. So in case you're not that techie out there with the best idea, or think that you can't really support in any way, we definitely want to talk to you here just about how you can really support this effort in the next few days. If you know some people in your community that would really have been thinking about things to do in this space, or have more of a passion in terms of how to build a product or service in this arena, there's certainly ways to help promote the effort, whether it's on social media or video like we're doing today. Josh, do you have any other ideas that people can really support this year's challenge?
I think what they can do is they can go to the final slide here. They can go to Verizon5glabs.com. They can take a look at the application there. They can share that with other companies and other organizations that they think are going to be a good candidate for this. Ultimately, we do want people. I think it's on the next slide there, Dan. Is the URL to apply, and we want to make sure that. Oh, is it not? Oh, I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. We want to make sure that people do go and visit that website because we do want to make sure that we get those applications in before September 15th. So yeah, if you know some companies that have really great ideas that could use 5G to really take that product or service to the next level, please do share this with them. If you are one of those companies that is intrigued by the idea of getting your hands on 5G before almost anyone else can, then definitely do that. I know a lot of people are thinking that maybe we don't need 5G right now, or maybe we don't need faster internet right now. The truth of it is that 5G is here. It's coming, and it's going to become ubiquitous. Everyone is going to be using it. And as startups and small businesses, the time to act is now, when you have access to funding, when you have access to these resources, when you have access to the technology itself before anyone else does. You have an opportunity to set the course of the future by defining what these new technologies are going to look like. And we're looking for the companies that are thinking that way right now, that want to help set the course of the future the same way that some of those pioneers did almost 10 years ago. All of those apps that we have on our phone right now and that we use every day, they had the foresight to use connectivity in order to reach customers on devices that were in their pockets. And now we're talking about what is the future going to bring with 5G, and we want these companies to help to be thinking critically about that and set that course with us.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much, Josh, for sharing all that. I hope that everyone tuning in here had the chance to take down this link or get right on it. We're going to segue back now and get our bright, smiling faces back on the screen. And, close out one final question. I always like to leave it light and airy and fun here. Josh, what's the number one thing you're excited about when it comes to 5G technology?
Oh, the number one thing.
Just the
I am
number one
excited.
thing. There's tons, but just what's that thing that you wake up every day and say, I cannot wait for this to change?
You know, I almost harped on it a little bit. I'm excited for what this new generation of companies is going to bring. We really did see a rise in these companies that are now household names that we hear about all the time. So many of them have even gone public, and really it was 4G and was the ability for them to connect with customers that really allowed them to do that. One of the things that excites me, apart from any specific technology industry, is just the fact that we're about to see a whole nother group of entrepreneurs. All the names that we're familiar with, right? With like Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs and Reed Hastings and Mark Zuckerberg. Like those are names that we know that really saw their time to shine in the early part of the decade. And I think we're about to see a whole new crop of founders just like that. A whole new cadre of names of people who are going to be creating some new technologies that are going to be household names, that are going to be table stakes really for how we start to live and work and play into 2020 and beyond. That's the thing that I'm most excited about.
I like it. And that brings up a good point. I mean, if you're one of those people out there that wants your name burned in history's pages, you should be signing up today, especially if you have one of those ideas in mind. For all of those that really joined us today, we really appreciate that. I know Josh appreciates that. It's these moments where we get to connect with those involved in the community. I know that, Josh, you would agree this gets down to that grassroots community level of people that really have foundational ideas and new products that maybe didn't think they had a place to go with it or the support system. Head to 5G Labs. Get involved in this year's 5G Challenge. The time is now. You have until September 15th to apply. And as Josh mentioned, you have some extra time here on the East Coast. So take advantage of that. You don't get that too often. And for those that are maybe tuning in for the first time here at the Tech Council, we want to really thank you for stopping by and sharing some time with us this afternoon. Josh, I think that people would probably want to find a way to get in touch with you if possible. If you're open to that, we'll be able to at least share with them some brief contact info if they're very interested and decide to apply. And we want to make sure that everyone here that's tuning in today is really excited for our next event, Propelify Innovation Festival, October 3rd in Hoboken. We hope, Josh, you could join us there too. If you're seriously passionate about entrepreneurialism or emerging technologies, if you want to fly some drones, or if you want to hear from some really great founders from different sectors, it's the place to be. And the cool thing, since we just brought the festival under our umbrella, you can actually join on us. So head to our website, share today's video. If you have a lot of people that you're in your community that are excited about 5G too, let them know this is happening. And Josh, I'll give you the last word. Is there anything else you want to say today?
I want to thank you, Dan. Thank you to the New Jersey Tech Council for supporting us with this. Thanks to everyone out there for listening and watching. Hope you do take advantage of the opportunity. If you have not been to Propelify, highly recommend it. I've been every year since they started. It is a great experience. It's a wonderful collection of some of the greatest minds here in the area, and it usually happens on a really beautiful sunny day out in Hoboken. So definitely take advantage of that. The Built on 5G Challenge. This isn't the last thing we're going to run, but it is one of the biggest and best things we're doing right now. But we're going to continue to support the ecosystem and the startup and small business community. And we're really excited about what 5G is going to bring in the future. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Josh. Most importantly, thanks to Verizon for really spurring this effort and for being a member of this community. It means so much to us. We're so happy to represent you guys and whatever you do next. So thanks again, everyone. We'll see you at Propelify. And we hope to see you on the stage there at the 5G Labs. Thanks.